When I got engaged to my boyfriend, his ex-girlfriend, the one he had always held on a pedestal, came back from abroad, and she brought their twins with her. Tearfully, she looked at me and said, "If you hate me, take it out on me, but Raphael and I are truly in love. Besides, we already have children together. I'm sure you don't want to be the other woman, right?" I laughed. With my height advantage, I looked down at her and said, "First of all, I'm just taking back what's mine. Second, when I got together with Raphael, you two had already broken up, so really it's you, crashing my engagement party. Who's the other woman here?" When I saw Raphael holding his ex, Emma, and their twins, I just smiled. The way Emma looked at me, it was like she was saying, "What are you so proud of? You're just a side character." I think she must have seen herself as the main character of some old-school romantic drama. She looked plain, and honestly, didn't seem all that bright either. I mean, what kind of person would throw challenging looks at me during my engagement party? But I knew it was over. There wasn't going to be a wedding between Raphael and me after this. Raphael looked serious as he said, "Cindy, I'm sorry. The one I've always loved is Emma." The entire banquet hall buzzed with excitement. After all, I was young, beautiful, highly educated, and came from a well-off family. So much better than Raphael's broke ex, who couldn't hold a candle to me. Only Raphael's friends looked at him with admiration, as if they were in awe of his deep love, and they stared at me like I was some kind of jilted woman, laughing behind my back. Of course, people flocked together with their own kind. I had loved Raphael for years, given him everything willingly, but it only takes a moment to lose all feelings for someone. I slipped off the diamond ring from my finger, tossed it toward him, and casually smiled. "Fine. Let's settle up, shall we?" Raphael looked confused. "Settle what? What a ridiculous question. I've managed your company for years. I've invested in it. What do you think we're settling? Do I look like the kind of idiot who works for free out of love?" Raphael hadn't expected me to be so decisive. He couldn't even find the words to respond. But his precious Emma, crying as always, stepped forward to defend him. "Miss Carter, you're so wealthy. The money you invested in Raphael's business is nothing to you. Why be so particular about it?" Raphael's friends chimed in. "Exactly, Cindy. You don't look like someone who'd be upset over a few bucks. Maybe she's just embarrassed after being dumped at her own engagement party." Raphael at least had a shred of decency and told them, "That's enough, guys." But Emma continued sobbing. "Miss Carter, if you're angry, take it out on me. Raphael and I are truly in love, and we already have kids. You don't want to be the other woman, right?" I couldn't help but laugh again. She was playing the victim, thinking her poverty gave her the moral high ground, trying to paint me as the villain. What a saint she thought she was. I leaned down, using my height advantage once again. "First of all, I'm just taking back what's mine. Second, Raphael and I were together, after you two had already broken up. So, showing up at my engagement party to wreck it, makes you the other woman." Emma immediately looked like she'd been hit with the world's greatest injustice, tears flowing even more. Raphael looked torn, ready to defend her, but I cut him off before he could say a word. "Raphael, you should know, I don't have much patience." Sure enough, Raphael caved. We went to an exclusive country club, where I had a private VIP room. Of course, Emma and her twins tagged along. Raphael and I sat across from each other, while Emma kept the kids busy in the corner, occasionally glancing over at us. Raphael started, "Cindy, I'll pay you back every cent I owe, but right now, I don't have enough money. Could you? If you don't have the money, hand over your projects. If we're going to end things, we might as well cut ties completely." I could see that my coldness was starting to shatter whatever image Raphael had of me. He stared at me, stunned. Emma, the typical homemaker type who clearly didn't understand business, jumped up immediately when she heard I wanted his projects. "How can that be? Cindy, those projects belong to Raphael." Just hearing her voice made me sick. Did she think standing up for him was helping? Wrong. I wasn't about to play nice. Her voice only reminded me that she was the reason my relationship ended. "Does this concern you?" Emma looked like she'd been punched, her face scrunching up in hurt, as if I was persecuting her. Raphael, of course, wasn't happy that I talked to his beloved like that. "Cindy, Emma doesn't know anything about this. There's no need to speak to her like that." He turned to Emma and added, "Cindy negotiated all these deals herself. If she wants to take them, it's only fair." I laughed at Raphael's naivete. "The deals I negotiated? Of course I'm taking those. But I'm talking about your projects." Raphael looked shocked. "What are you saying?" I chuckled. "You don't have money, so pay me with your projects. Is that so hard to understand?" Raphael's face darkened, like he was holding back a lot of anger. "Cindy, do you really have to be this heartless? Can't we at least stay friends?" "Friends? A man who dumped me at my own engagement party wants to be friends? That's gotta be the biggest joke of the century." In the end, I didn't just take the projects I'd secured myself, I also took two of Raphael's most profitable ones. Those two deals alone would net me more than I ever invested in him over the years. Once I had what I wanted, I walked out. As I left, I could still hear Emma's whimpering complaints and the twins' cries. I couldn't care less. My only focus now was turning those projects into cash. For years, I'd been too busy managing Raphael's affairs to spend time at my own company, CC Corporation. Negotiations went smoothly for most of the projects. One deal I took from Raphael got approved right away, but another required further evaluation. My company didn't have much overlap with Raphael's, so they were concerned about whether I had the expertise to handle it. The next morning, I scheduled a meeting with the head of that company, at the same country club of course. What I didn't expect was for Daniel Thomas to show up. He was Raphael's uncle. In all the years I'd been with Raphael, I'd only met him twice, this being the second time. The man had a powerful presence. From the moment I first met him, I felt a little uneasy around him. Just a little. Daniel smiled, graceful and polite, yet somehow still intimidating. "Why aren't you coming in?" Daniel had the kind of aura that felt spiritual, yet dangerous. Instinct told me this man was trouble. Raphael was his nephew. Was Daniel agreeing to this deal just to get back at me on his nephew's behalf? I stepped inside and sat across from Daniel, forcing a smile. Hello, Mr. Thomas. Daniel's mood seemed light. You remember me? How could I forget someone like him? Of course, I met you last year when Raphael brought me home for dinner. Daniel continued to smile. Seems I made quite an impression. I'm honored. That's Daniel for you. Charming and friendly on the surface, but I knew I had to stay on guard. He seemed like the type to smile while stabbing you in the back. I wasn't going to take this deal, not because I was scared, but because I knew when to cut my losses. Before Daniel could make his move, I decided to strike first and back out. Mr. Thomas, I'm sure you know about everything that happened between Raphael and me. I think it's best if we don't work together. Daniel casually asked. Why? Was he really asking? Didn't he know? And why are you trying to work with me? Isn't it obvious? He's doing it to get revenge for his nephew. Daniel locked eyes with me. For you. I was stunned, not just by his words, but by the way he was looking at me. The raw desire in his eyes made it hard for me to breathe. I couldn't quite grasp what those 3 words meant. What do you mean? Daniel sat up straighter, smiling with that unsettling charm. Isn't it obvious? I'm pursuing you. His voice was smooth, full of flirtation. Goosebumps spread over my skin. I'd just broken up with his nephew, and now he was coming after me? Who would believe that? I was furious, thinking Daniel must have been playing me for a fool. Daniel, do you think I'm that easy to trick? Daniel's gaze shifted to one of admiration, as though my anger amused him. I'm not lying to you, he said calmly. I clenched my fists, trying to stay composed. We've only met twice. Who says I can't fall in love at first sight? Daniel's tone was so casual, and his expression so unreadable, that I couldn't tell if he was being serious or just messing with me. My anger shielded me from any intimidation at that point. I shot back. I was still Raphael's girlfriend at the time. You fell for your future niece? Is that a problem? I'm only pursuing you after you two broke up. I don't think I've done anything wrong. He spoke so naturally, as if he was the one in the right. But I wasn't buying it. This whole situation was too sudden, too suspicious. I couldn't let my guard down. I don't like you. And that's why I'm pursuing you. Daniel cut me off, his voice unwavering. This deal was just a way for me to get closer to you. If it bothers you, we can cancel the deal. But my pursuit? That's not going to stop. He seemed determined, as if he truly meant it. For now, I decided to put the deal on hold. I stood up. I think we're done for today. I've got other things to take care of. I gave him a nod and started walking out. Just as I reached the door, Daniel called out to me. Cindy. I turned to face him. He stood up and walked toward me.